Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Choice of Winding Down Chronicles of an expat going in retirement now. So this is the second video in a series of personal finance videos I'm going to be sharing with you. In the first video I just released a couple days ago, it was the kind of the fun part, looking at the investments that I made last year and how they performed. This video could be a little more exciting, a little less exciting, but it's very important because it's the other side of the equation. It's what I spend my money on and what I spent my money on in 2025. It's been a weird couple years and a little complicated because I worked in Bangkok for the last 7.5 years. I have a house in Laos and I have roots and other costs that I incur in the US. So it's a little weird. It's a little complicated in many ways, probably compared to the majority of the people. I've got expenses in Laos, I've got expenses in Thailand, I've got expenses in the US, and sometimes because of travel, I might have other expenses that I might incur in Myanmar and other places. Over the years, I've had to develop a system of tracking my personal expenses with different exchange rates. So it's been a work in progress. Every year I get a little bit better. I only invest so much time into it. This year I can make this a little bit better because I'm going to have time. I won't have work distracting me from focusing on this. So what I was able to do is I'm going to walk through my average monthly expenses for the year and also briefly explain how I track everything, but without turning this into a spreadsheet tutorial. If you want a deeper dive in the tracking system, how I use it, please, I can do a separate video, but please make a comment at the below. This is my second take because the first take was about an hour and I was explaining how I track and some of the other complications because it is a little complicated. I have to use spreadsheets, I have to use formulas, and I also use Quicken software to consolidate. To consolidate all, basically it's my database, and then I export everything into Excel. But that's where I went off into a rabbit trail with my last video, and I don't think that's relevant to this process. The important thing just to note is the majority of my expenses are in baht for the year, and in dollar, with some expenses in Lao Kip. And I consolidate this, but the numbers you're going to see here are in dollar. And this is basically me living in Bangkok with my wife in a 1-bedroom condo and also covering the expenses of a small house in Laos where some of my wife's family live together and take care of it. And I basically cover all the expenses. Yeah, if you want to see how I do that, it's really interesting. I find it very interesting. I'm a bit of a geek nerd in Excel. It's good that I can do this because I've had to do this for my job. I manage multiple currencies and much larger numbers than these. One disclaimer is that the numbers here that I'm going to present I think they're accurate within a 2 to 3% variance. So it could be a little more, it could be a little less. Part of the factors into that are exchange rates. So I have to use a monthly average exchange rate for each of the currencies for the transactions. Life happens. Sometimes I might forget something. Usually I don't. It would be my wife or something that would forget to tell me of a cost. She's much less detailed person than I am. So she'll report back to me on a weekly basis in rounded figures. I'm an accountant to some extent. I note down even for 50 cents for something, I'll input that. But she's not as detailed as I am, but that's going to improve probably going into 2026 because I do like to track by categories. But that's a work in progress. She's on board, she's getting better, and honestly, I'm grateful that we can do this together. What you're looking at, this is my consolidated spreadsheet. It's my budget versus actual, but this is basically just the actual expenses. I won't show you my budget for the year because it's a little off due to some other circumstances. Some of them are combined expenses for both Laos and Thailand and US. Some of them, but a majority of them are separated because I did want to know what it costs me to cover expenses in Laos, what it costs me to cover expenses in Thailand. I'll give a brief explanation of that for each budget line. And for some of the big expenses that I had last year, some big surprises, I extracted them from the monthly average, and I will share with at the end of this video. See, I didn't want them skewing the averages. So this gives you a picture of what it looks like to live in Thailand and basically have personal business across multiple countries and different currencies. So you can see my spreadsheet is relatively simple. I have this broken down, color-coded by different categories. I'll go through each line and mention something more detail if there's something exceptional about it, or I'll just mention the numbers. The first section is auto insurance, automobile and transportation. This is mostly for Laos because we had a car. We were borrowing a car from her family for her sister to use because I didn't own a car for more than 10 years. I still had to pay for the expenses of it. So it was just part of the business of trying to maintain a home in Laos without letting the house fall apart. But I was happy, we're grateful that she lived there for us, lived there and take care of it for us. So gas and fuel was about $53 a month. So this column over here, you'll see it is the total for the year, and then this column is the monthly average, and then this column is the budget line. Motorcycle repair, and I had some repairs on my motorcycle, a new tire, things like that. That was a total of $169 for the year. This is a motorcycle that I do have in Laos, but I only use it when I go back to Laos. Total service and parts for both of these was about $12 average. The next section I have finance and administration. This first one is advisors. It's quite large. It's $2,230 for the year, average of $186 a year. So I belong to two investment groups. One investment group, one is an advisor. It's paid for itself just to belong to these two groups. So that averages me about $186 per month. Moving forward, I probably will remove at least one of them in the following year, not in 2026. I still need to reference these groups and this information, and it's still useful. It might not be as relevant to my life beyond 2027. So that was fairly high. Finance, administration, supplies. So this is paper, pen, journals, whatnot, $9 a month average. My subscriptions to various cloud services, and I pay a subscription for Google for me and my wife for cloud storage for photos and documents. I pay for Google Premium for YouTube. I pay for iCloud. That's like $1 a month. So that comes to about $44 per month. Some of these other costs I anticipated needing them, but I didn't use them. So this next section is education and personal development. So language. So I started learning Lao to speak Lao. I stopped learning Thai in 2024 when I suspected I would be leaving the organization or leaving Thailand. And then I started in mid-2025, I started taking Lao lessons again. So that's been about $34 a month for a tutor online. No online courses. Well, if there's no money there, I won't mention the budget line. But you can see how I structured this. This might be interesting to you. I find this very interesting if other people go through this on their own. This is one of my most watched videos, videos that I watch of others, because I do like to see how they spend money. I like to see how they track it. You know, it's part of my nature to understand money and to understand what people value and what they spend money on. Books is a big value for me. I read at least one book a month. I might be reading more when I stop working in 2026. So that's about $18 per month. Movies and music. So this is $5 a month. So this is my Netflix subscription. We just started watching Netflix about a year ago. We subscribed to it just for something fun to do, cheap on the weekends. It's $5 a month. I think you pay more in the US, but but I use a Thai credit card, so I get it cheaper. $5 a month, ad free. I don't know. I think it's like $15 or $20 in the month in the U.S. or outside of the U.S. So I have U.S. credit cards, but it's cheaper for me to just use my Thai credit card. How much do you pay for your subscription to Netflix or any others? That's the only one we use. We didn't watch it much, but might watch it more now if they have it. So the next section is fees and charges from the bank. So this was about ATM fees were about $1 per month. Bank fees for various things. I think I did some transfers and other charges in Thailand. If you go outside of the district, even if it's the same bank, they charge you a bank fee to use the ATM. Even if it's the same bank, it's really crazy. Such a ripoff there. But bank fees, transferring money, this was an average of $39 per month. So this next section is food and consumables. So this section is both covering Laos and Thailand. So this is if we used money in Laos or if Da's family used it for some reason. So coffee, I would buy a stock of coffee in Laos and take it back to Bangkok for me to use. I averaged about $66 per month. I'm not going to go over that next year because most of the coffee I drank was in the office, so I didn't pay for it. But I'm still going to keep my coffee budget below $60 moving forward. Seems a little high, but I made a special line for this because I drink the coffee. This might include some travel coffee when I travel. I do like to get a good cup of coffee when I travel, but it's very rare. The majority of the coffee I drink is either at the office or at home. I make it at home. I almost never buy it outside. I don't know how people afford to buy these $3, $4, $5 drinks, coffees. So I make majority of mine at home. Groceries. This is a combined bill of both Laos and Bangkok. So my wife and me in Bangkok. And then I was paying for basically 4 people to live in Laos in my house. My wife's sister-in-law, her son, and sometimes there was a niece here for a while. And the son ate like a horse, man. Just ate like a lion. But he's gone now, so this cost should come down. It was about $1,500 per month. I think that's still a little high. I think this is where my wife gave me numbers that were probably mixed with cleaning supplies. She wasn't separating those costs very well. So anyway, it was about $1,500 a month for 1, 2, 3 adults, a teenager, and probably somewhat of a baby. And then if anybody comes to the house, I end up paying for the food. So this section is special foods. I have Paleo Rabi. That was a place where I bought most of my meats. This is primarily me. My food, I ate steaks, imported steaks, because you cannot get very good quality steaks in Laos. Sometimes I would get lamb, that would be expensive, but I wanted to track this separately. This was about $200 a month. Restaurants were about $250, $240 per month average. We didn't eat out often, but when we did, we went somewhere nice. And when we came to Laos, we went out a couple times to the place we love to eat. And it's not just my wife and I, it's me and her family. So I'm paying for 5, 6, 7, 8 people sometimes. They don't contribute. It's just part of the cost of being a foreigner here, being married to a local. So this next section is gifts and donations. So charity tithing is a major part of my life. My whole life, I tithe at least 10%. Money I've given randomly to people in the street and stuff. So this was, I averaged about $473 per month, almost $5,600 for the year in charity. Family gifts, various gifts, various things that I helped my wife's family on primarily. That was $2,800, $2,700, so $232 a month. So her father died, and I put the money that I helped her family with here, just to track it. So her family died, her father died, and someone was sick, I think, and I know I helped pay for that. So that was $232 for the a month, 2,700, almost 2,800 for the year. But I already told her this is going, I won't be able to do this anymore. I won't have an income. Various gifts to various people, birthdays, weddings. So that was average of $66 per month. Christmas gifts was very little this year, so $150 for the year. So this next section is health and fitness. So the first gym, we didn't belong to a gym. We went to the condo gym, but I paid for a subscription for 1 month to try an app for in-home workouts. I tried it. That was $10 for the year, average of $1 per month. Various sporting goods, $760 or $63 per month. I did this because I think this was some equipment. This was some equipment that I bought on Black Friday at the end of the year that I still have in the U.S. I have to bring back. Supplements, $1,700 for the year, $140 per month. So this might be protein powder and some vitamin D and various things. I experimented with different supplements throughout the year, but this is going to greatly reduce when I go back to Laos because I won't have the extra money to do this. The next section is Bangkok expenses, specific to the Bangkok condo. So internet, I paid $26 per month, which is pretty good connection. Da's internet phone, my wife, I had to pay $14 a month for her phone to have internet. Bangkok rent, the average was $723 per month, but actually it's $750. My condo came with a parking spot, and I didn't have a vehicle, and other people in the condo are always looking for extra vehicle parking spots to rent. And so I rented out my parking spot for most of the year, and I recovered about $50 a month for that. For about a couple months, I didn't rent because the one person stopped. So there was a gap of about 3 or 4 months that I wasn't receiving that. So that really helped. So I put that back into the cost of the rent. So that reduced my monthly rent, which was actually $750, to around $720 per month. Various repairs on the house that we needed to do, various things we fixed, $31 per month. Cleaning supplies, $44 a month. This could have been a lot less, but my wife cleans multiple times a day. I mean, our place was spotless. Telephone average was $7 per month. Utilities, so this is water and electricity. It was a combination of the two for $77 per month. I'd say about $65 of this per month was electricity, and $5 to $10 per month was water for the condo. So these next expenses are specific to the house in Laos. So this was running air conditioner units and electricity. And the family that I had living there didn't use much electricity, or they use only if it got very hot, and only in times when Don and I went back and had to use more electricity for air conditioner. So the average of electricity for the house in Laos was $42 a month. This will probably go up when Don and I go back and are living there. Furnishings or various furniture, small things that we bought for the house, that was $9 per month. We made a lot of house improvements at the end of the year, but I took them out of that, and I will include that in my cost, the exceptional costs at the end of this video. But still need to make repairs, and improve some things on the house, painting this or fixing that. That was $66 per month. Various supplies, this is mostly cleaning supplies. They clean the house constantly, so that's about $95 per month. Internet is pretty cheap. We have the basic plan there, $6 per month. I'll probably double this when I go back and I want a better connection. Kitchen, this is gas and maybe some small things that needed for the house. This was $65 per month. Mobile phone, probably for Da or me when we were back in Laos, we had to pay for our phone number top up. So that was $3 per month. Paid help. I pay my sister-in-law. I cover expenses to live in the house, and I pay her a small monthly salary. It's about $250 a month. I was also paying for the niece. They worked and took care of the house, and the nephew, a little money. So, but the total for the three of them plus a year-end bonus was about $276 per month. This is going to come down in 2026 when Don and I are back, because I'm not paying 3 people to take care of the house anymore. I will continue with the sister-in-law because she will probably continue to live with us. Various house repairs came to $4 a month. Tools, roughly $15 per month. I had to buy a drill or something for the house. Water is very cheap. That's $2 per month. This is city water. So moving forward, so the medical expenses of pharmacy that I had to pay for out of pocket. Dentist, $25 per month. This was either Dot or I got an allowance at work, but if you spend more than the allowance, then that's out of pocket. So that came to $25 per month average out of pocket. I think she had a tooth problem, and so did I. And she bought a night guard to stick in her mouth while she's sleeping. Eye care, $15. She had to get new glasses, and that went beyond the allowance I got at work. My medical and pharmacy, this is out of pocket, different medicines I needed that I might have gone over the allowance at work. $21 average. Da's medical and pharmacy. She buys a lot of pharmaceuticals. I don't know why. She always has a stock that she carries with her. She spends a lot more in pharmacy and things. So that was $162. So Da's personal stuff, this is anything she did outside. Manicure, pedicure, hair, spa, whatever. This is high. This is $265 per month for her. These are some of the things we're going to have to work out when I'm not working. So haircut, this is me, $4 per month. Spa and massage, we'd go for spas, or we'd go for massage periodically. She'd go probably at least once a month. At one point, I think when her family was there, a couple of us went out and I paid for our massage. So that averaged about almost $150 a month. This will come down next year. It has to. Toiletries and personal care average $34 per month. So pet supplies. So I had 3 dogs last year. One of them died at the end of the year, and we had some medical expenses for her throughout the year that were very high. I lost another dog the year before. He also had some medical expenses that made these averages very high. And this also includes her burial, her euthanization. The other dogs, so now I have 2 dogs going into 2026, and I also have 5 cats. So I'm paying for cat food too for these stinking cats that live outside and just come and shit and eat when they want. I can't stand them. I love cats, but not these cats. The nephew rescued a cat, and like within a week or two, that one cat became 5 cats because you couldn't tell she was pregnant, and then boom, 1 week later after she was here, it was like, is she pregnant? And then 5 cats. So we had 5 freaking cats. Went from 1 cat to saving 5 cats, really. And I don't like them. I don't like the cats. I don't know those cats because they lived here when I wasn't here. Anyway, so $209 for food and supplies for all these animals. I love animals. I love dogs. I'm not big on cats, but I'm okay with them if you can do something with them. But these cats just run away. We're just feeding and they're just shitting here. They shit in a box. Pet grooming, I had the dogs get groomed every couple months, $25 a month. The vet, $89. This was mostly for the one of the dogs we had was sick, and then my old sweet black beauty Dami, she died, and I had to do a lot for her, and she was worth it. She was worth every penny. Such a sweet dog. Electronics. So at the end of Black Friday, I spent almost $1,000 on some electronics, accessories, keyboard, different new headphones, but they're still in the US. I didn't get them yet, but I have to include them here. That's $100 average. But this will not happen every year. This was just because of Black Friday, and I expected to be home by now to pick these up, but it didn't happen yet. So they're in the US waiting for me. A computer, I bought my computer from work for almost $100. I thought I would need it. I might not. Clothing. The clothing for Dow was $831 for the year, $70 per month. I don't know why she buys clothing. I bought her actually a couple pieces on Black Friday. They're also waiting for me, and then I counted for them here. And sometimes she buys clothing, but I don't understand why. She's got enough clothes for 10 years to wear something different for 10 years. Some of it might not fit. She just won't get rid of it. So my clothing, I also replaced some things on Black Friday. That's still waiting for me in the US. So that was about $85 per year. Travel. So we mostly went back to the Laos every quarter. So this included flights. We didn't really go anywhere. We don't go anywhere. So that was $1,000 for the year. $91 average. Food, traveling at the airport, $10 per month. Average, $120 for the year. So the next one is we had nothing in a hotel, at least for normal expenses, although we did have some expenses for the wedding. Car rental and taxi, this is relatively high. This is about $1,230, $119. So some of this is when Di had to run back because her father died. This was some extra costs there. I also had to pay for some of her family to travel to go see them, and just different things out the year. So this averaged about $120 per month in car rent, taxis basically. Visas, $240 total for the year, and average of $20 a month. So I have to pay $50 per month every time I went back to Laos. So I went back to Laos 4 or 5 times. So the average is about $20 per month. Shipping is $80 for the year and $7 average per month. Before we would ever go back for an extended period of time, 1 or 2 weeks, she would buy some supplies, send it back to Laos. It was relatively cheap. I also sold some things online, and I had to pay shipping, so relatively small. Even some things on eBay I sold, and my sister paid for me in the US. So the total monthly average is $6,500 per month. And some of the extra costs that I had this year that were extraordinary, these were the honeymoon and wedding. Basically, when I paid for the wedding, and I paid for us to take her family to the beach, to Hua Hin, for a couple days. So the total of that was $15,000. Thank God I had an emergency fund already from the previous year that helped pay for this, because I would have had a problem. My income would not have been able to pay for this. So I really encourage you to have an emergency fund if you can. Health insurance I paid at the end of the year, but this was for 2026. That was $5,000. Extra moving costs that I had to pay exceeding my allowance at work to move back to Laos. That was $640. I paid car insurance at the end of the year for 2026. That was $1,500. Extra furniture to take back to Laos, lounge chair, and I bought some different furniture to have for my office back home. That was $2,000. The dentist, Daya had a root canal. She had a bad tooth, broke a tooth, and she's going to need that capped. So that will be additional cost next year, but we paid $1,250 for that, for the root canal, and deposit on the new tooth. And then some house improvements on Laos at the end of December that I extracted from the monthly average. This isn't the total of the cost because we incurred some costs in January as well. So that was $4,500 for some of the house improvements we made in December. So a total of all the one-off expenses were $30,395. And the monthly average again was $6,500 per month. Normal expenses that it costs to keep things running basically and keep us fed. So that's what 2025 looked like from a spending perspective across 3 countries really, during a transition year. This was the year before I knew I was going into early retirement. With all the messiness that comes with real life, things are not clean. I did not expect all of these big expenses at the end of the year or during the year, so they could really wreak havoc on your budget. So this breakdown is important because it'll set the baseline for what comes next. In the third video, I'm going to walk through my 2026 budget estimates, what changes when I'm living in Laos full time, and what I think will go down, what might go up, and what will be real. I hope these numbers are realistic and accurate for retirement, because they're going to need to be for my money to last. I'll be doing monthly budget versus actual updates. So we'll find out together whether I'm optimistic, realistic, or completely delusional. And I hope I'm not the latter. So if there's an expense category you want me to unpack more, or if you want me to go deeper in on a video, how I track and manage this, please let me know in the comments. Give me a like, a thumbs up. I put a lot of work into this. I really appreciate it. Follow me for the monthly averages and for the next video on my estimated budget for 2026, my first year in early retirement. Thanks everybody, take care, God bless, and take it slow.